Immigration is the polar opposite of Donald Trump's position. You better think again. Watch this flashback. Roll tape.
Secure our borders with technology, personnel, physical barriers if necessary.
That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before.
We need to try to incentivize Mexico to do more, and we need to create the environment in which we get people out of the shadows and then give them some earned right to legalization.
We are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years.
If they've committed transgressions of whatever kind, they should be obviously deported.
We will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes.
Oh, my, oh, my. Oh. Well done. Whoever edited those things together, back to back. Well done. Bravo, indeed.
I mean, the horror of a father or a mother going to work and being picked up and immediately whisked away, and children coming home from school to an empty house and nobody can say where their mother or their father is. That is just not who we are as Americans.
So there she's saying she thinks fewer people already here who are working, who are not doing anything wrong after obviously they broke the law to get here, but they should be able to stay. But listen to this. We've had this crisis in recent days of all these children stacking up in detention centers at the border. On that one, Hillary Clinton took a much tougher line, saying no, they can't stay.
They should be sent back as soon as it can be determined who responsible adults and their families are, because there are concerns about whether all of them can be sent back, but I think all of them who can be should be reunited with their families.
That one there, I think the liberals are going to say, hey, wait a minute, right?
Yeah, I think so. And this was one example, I think, of from this town hall of her either taking both sides of many different controversial issues or being extremely cautious. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that after saying in one breath that the president should have more leeway on this issue and should be more sensitive to families, and then taking sort of like a harder line that you might hear from like a House Republican in the next breath was actually pretty striking.
Well, she doesn't want to be seen as somehow enabling the sort of surge of illegal immigration.
The fourth challenge is to take back our streets from crime, gangs, and drugs. And we have actually been making progress on this count as a nation because of what local law enforcement officials are doing, because of what citizens and neighborhood patrols are doing. We're making some progress. Much of it is related to the initiative called community policing, because we have finally gotten more police officers on the street. That was one of the goals that the president had when he pushed the crime bill that was passed in 1994.
I thank the gentleman, salute him for his work on this, rise in support of the amendment. First of all, Social Security card is used from one end of America to the other as an identification card right now. Who are we kidding? If you want to pass a law and says it shouldn't be, I would ask the chairman and the distinguished minority member of the Social Security committee to pass that law, but let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card. This is an anti-fraud amendment. All over where we go, people say, well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants or others from coming here? And the number one answer we give our constituents is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud. And here, the gentleman from Florida has put together the most effective anti-fraud measure we can find without it changing the actions of the government one bit. And we find all this opposition. Ladies and gentlemen of this chamber, what I worry about is that this bill, which started out with good intentions, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, is going to end up being the same kind of thing that the public gets angry with us on. We say we're doing something, and we do nothing. Because every time someone makes a rational and small proposal to get something done, people say, well, what about this hypothetical, that hypothetical, etc. I urge support of this amendment. If you believe you want to stop fraud in immigration, you have no choice but to support this amendment. Durbin was a member of it. And so we're going to try to do everything we can for as bold an immigration bill as we can get. Plain and simple. We'll see where our Republican colleagues are.
It's a challenge, and the new administration deserves an opportunity to respond to it. And I think it's going to be part of the conversation about immigration. Let's assume for a second they're successful in doing it. And 6 weeks from now, we don't have a situation that's as challenging as the one today. Does that mean the Republicans will come forward for immigration reform? I'm not sure. But I think we need to deal with this reality at the border. I've said to the administration, come forward with your plan. Mayorkas is testifying maybe tomorrow in the House of Representatives, and I'm looking forward to what his suggestions are. We want to work to
see an increase in numbers through that. It's about 4.5 million as I calculate. Los Angeles Times has found that under the new legal entry into the country, you've got about a 50% increase in that.
Well,
so which would be about 15 million on a regular basis, but it could be more. That's sort of a mid-level estimate of what the numbers are. So you got 11 plus 5, that's 15, plus another 15 is about 30 million people, is it not, given legal status in the next 10 years? And shouldn't we be concerned about the future flow if we're going to have such a large number of people being advanced in their
I would just say there's some simple math here. You're adding 11 million, they're already here.
Well, they're going to be given full legal status to compete for jobs.
He's trying to answer your question, Senator. Let him do that.
By the way, they're competing for jobs right now. I ride my bicycle around Brooklyn early in the morning. I see people gathered on street corners, okay? Some guy in a truck comes over and says, I'll pay you $10 if you work all day. They're competing with Americans who wouldn't accept $10 a day to work in those jobs. So they are competing right now, and I would argue that they lower the wage scale much more than if they were registered and working in a legal way. Number two, but they're here. So take away those 11 million. We do allow family unification. It's the humane and right thing to do. But many of those people would be allowed to be unified under present law. Some is sped up, but not that much. But third, I would say to my colleague, you don't know if the economy goes very well here and the economy goes badly in Mexico and we do nothing, the number of illegal immigrants will increase and could be far beyond what this bill is. So again, my main point here is this. The system is broken. The American people have given us a mandate to fix it. We fix it in a rational way. And to simply point to who we allow to work here and who we allow to come here does not take into account who would be coming here and to be allowed to work here if we continued to do nothing, which I think just about everyone of each political stripe has said is unacceptable. So what I'd await is your comprehensive immigration bill and how you would deal with the 11 million people who are here, with the people whose families are torn apart. What is your solution? I know you're critical of our bill, and I respect that, and I know it comes from the heart. But the status quo will also continue to drive the numbers up, and I would argue in a way that is less friendly to the American economy and less friendly to what is the right thing to do for our families than present law.